Hi everyone, and welcome to today's More Report analysis videos on Monday the 8th of May with me, Rich Pay Market Analyst at Antec Markets. We've got the market responding to this French presidential election last night, Emmanuel Macron's victory. It's been a bit of an unwinding move really, because in front of the victory for Macron, which had been widely touted in the polls, markets had come to be fairly confident about him winning and subsequently priced in that victory. And what we've seen is the market's just unwinding that move to a certain extent, but certainly on the French-German yield spreads, that continues to fall away. So that French political risk continues to unwind on that as French yields go lower, and the German yields sort of maintain their sort of higher move that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. But one of the key moves has been the fact that the dollar was weak on Friday. This chart is not a dissimilar chart to a sort of a mirror image of the euro-dollar chart really, because euro is such a big weighting in this chart. But euro broke out to the upside on Friday, subsequently dollar broke to the downside, but just unwinding a little bit today as the euro has fallen off. You've got treasury yields which are basically flat, so that all suggests that mostly that move is down to the euro correction, and it's about 50-60 ticks down now on euro dollar. Key move also coming in the oil market on Friday, bit of an intraday turnaround, just sort of stabilising a little bit today. There had been initially sort of gains on the fact that Russia was sort of looking to to follow up with OPEC in terms of a continued production cut, so that has been oil supportive and rebounded that market on Friday, but just losing a little bit of that weight today. But generally the theme today is for euro weakness, equity markets in eurozone weaker, as a little bit of profit taking just comes in today. In terms of economic announcements, there is nothing really due to be getting too worked up about. We've had the overnight trade balance for China, increasing trade balance, but that came as exports and imports were both weaker than expected. So slight sort of extension of that mild sort of risk appetite reversal. Now my chart today is dollar CAD. Now we've had a big bear key one-day reversal on dollar CAD. Moved to the upside on Friday, closed well below the low of the previous session, and that sort of changes the complexion of this chart really, doesn't it, with the RSI now having posted a sell signal, the stochastics beginning to fall away, although not confirmed on a sell signal. And I'll be interested to see if this market just starts to drift backwards. So 136 is that a key long-term breakout. Key old resistance turns into support, so 136 down towards that March high of 135.35. So you could see a bit of an unwinding move really in wake of that big bearish engulfing candle. So what we'd be looking out for is just probably selling into strength really. So you look at this hourly chart and you've definitely sort of rolled over. You sort of could also measure the fact that we've got a pivot resistance around about this 36.80 mark, where today's high has been sort of old resistance, became supportive, and then becoming resistance again. So there is a bit of a pivot around 36.80 and then up around the sort of 37.40 area. Again, a bit of an old pivot or previous pivot of last week. So a couple of resistance levels to work with there from the upside, but on the downside you're looking at sort of 36.40, which is these lows from Friday and pretty much through today, and then back towards that breakout level 136 area. But unwinding the RSI in a possibly similar fashion to how we saw in March could easily be seen now, having given that sort of corrective bear signal on the RSI, which compounded that bearish engulfing candle on a Friday. So possibly a corrective move. Now in terms of your resistance, theoretically you'd say that remains corrective until you break back above the 37.93 high from Friday. So there is still room to play around with this one, I think. But with that in mind, I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I'll speak to you later. Thank you.